Testing. 1, 2. Testing. Hi! Back for another video in Intro to Philosophy. This time we're doing the internalism and externalism reading, now that the correct reading is up there. For those of you in semesters after fall of 2024, don't worry about what I just said about the correct reading. I never made any mistakes in the past. Everything went perfectly. Um, anyway, haha. Yeah, so, might as well just, I'll tell you what, context, aliens. Now, context. We've been talking about, justification, because going all the way back to the beginning of the semester, we established that to know something, you must have a belief. That is a proposition you give credence to. The belief must be true, and the belief must be justified. Okay. Now, at first, we kind of left the nature of justification, ooh, little spooky, not exactly clear. And we turned our attention, like once we got the JTB model in our head, justified true belief, JTB, there are videos prior to this one. Yes, you should watch them. Once we had the JTB model in our head, we turned our attention to, we asked, okay, justify true belief, is there maybe some other factor as well? Is it maybe 4 things we need, or 5, or 12, or 23? And we looked at Gettier cases. Is maybe luck a factor? Stuff like that. And we decided, I think, most of us decided, you know what? Justified true belief seems to serve adequately in like 99% of cases, so we're not going to worry about Gettier cases. There are probably some issues of epistemic luck that need to be talked about, but not in an intro philosophy class. That's the kind of thing that you can, if you decide to go to graduate school in philosophy and take a graduate level epistemology class, yeah, maybe they'll dig in on epistemic luck, but nothing you need to worry about now. JTB will get us where we need to go most of the time. I feel like I'm trying to sell you a product. Try JTB. It gets you where you need to go. Anyway, no laughs today. Okay. Anyway, so we decided that, okay, justified true belief is good enough. There might be some other stuff at play, but we're not going to worry about that. And then we took a little side trip into skepticism, where we asked, is knowledge even possible? And I think, we feel pretty good on that point. I feel like we're like, we got some pretty good answers to skepticism, and I think most people are feeling pretty comfortable with the idea that, yeah, we can know stuff. Like, maybe not everything, but we can have substantial knowledge of the world around us. Now, if there's anyone watching this who thinks we can't, who is not satisfied by the answers to skepticism, and believes that we can have very little or possibly even no knowledge of the world around us, first, how do you live? And second, the rest of the semester is going to be super boring for you. So, okay. But we decided we're cool with skepticism. So now, we've turned our attention back to the JTB model. And starting with this video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be digging in, getting our hands dirty, and digging into more detail on justification. I feel like we got a pretty good handle on truth and belief for the moment. Truth actually is complicated, but that's a different class. That would be metaphysics. And that's not what I'm teaching. I'm not teaching metaphysics. I'm teaching epistemology. So we got truth and belief, and I feel like we're good there, which means we just need to get really clear on what justification is. So the next several videos, we're going to be talking about different theories of justification, and those theories of justification can be broadly separated into two types: internalist theories and externalist theories. And so today, I'm going to sort of sketch the broad outlines of what makes an internalist theory internalist and what makes an externalist theory externalist. Um, we'll actually see how far I get. I might break this into two pieces, sort of like how, remember I crushed together 3 readings into one video for readings like 14, 15, 16? This is only one reading, but it might get split into 2 videos. One for internalism, one for externalism. We'll see how it goes. In my in-person class, I spent an entire class period almost entirely talking about internalism. So that maybe we'll see how it goes. And you'll know. I mean, so if you've already loaded up this video, you know how long it is, so you probably have a better idea. You'll know before I do. Sort of. Okay. Anyway, alright, we're going to talk about what makes a theory internalist, what makes a theory of justification externalist, and then as we go forward, as we talk about each type of theory about justification, I will make clear to you whether it is an internalist or an externalist theory. Although, if I do my job and you're paying attention, you should be able to tell. Okay, let's jump into it. Alright, internalism is called internalism because the grounds of justification under an internalist theory, the grounds of justification are supposed to be internally available to the epistemic agent. Now, by internally, I don't mean in your stomach or your colon or something, I mean in your head. The grounds of justification should be internally available to the epistemic agent, to the knower. In other words, that's what makes a theory internalist. Okay. And the main type of internalism that we want to talk about is something called perspectival internalism. Okay. It's like perspective, but you leave off the last E and add an AL. Perspectival internalism. And in other words, that just means that to break it down in simple language, it means that to be justified in holding a belief, you must have other beliefs that, from your perspective, there's the perspectival part, you must have other beliefs that, from your perspective, are understood to justify the belief in question, the belief that we want justified to make it qualify as knowledge. Okay. So, let's give an example. Let's say your belief is, I trust that Dr. Black knows what she is talking about when it comes to epistemology. That's the belief. Remember, let's just say Dr. Black knows what she's talking about when it comes to epistemology. That's the belief. Because remember, a belief is a proposition that you give credence to. And a proposition is a statement, a claim about the world. The claim being made, it has to be a statement. It's not a question or a gut feeling or anything like that. It's a statement. The claim about the world is Dr. Black knows what she is talking about when it comes to epistemology. So that's the proposition. The belief is that you have a proposition that you think is true, that you give credence to. Okay, so if you have a belief, this is the belief. Dr. Black knows what she's talking about when it comes to epistemology. By the way, I'm saying that over and over again. It's subliminal, and you're going to be putting that into the substantive comments when you do the student evaluation for this class. That's just magic. It'll work, I promise. Um, so the proposition is Dr. Black knows what she's talking about when it comes to epistemology. Because you give credence to the proposition, you can be said to have a belief with the content. Dr. Black knows what she is talking about when it comes to epistemology. And now we ask, what would make you justified in holding that belief? On an internalist perspective, on the perspectival internalism, if that's our theory, what is going to make you justified in holding that belief is other beliefs that other beliefs that you, as you understand them, give you good reason to think the justified the first belief in question is true. Okay. So, if the belief we are trying to decide whether it's justified, if the belief in question is Dr. Black knows what she is talking about when it comes to epistemology, if that's the belief in question and we want to know what beliefs could justify it, well, okay, let's think. What kind of beliefs could justify that belief? Well, you can pause the video and think about it, and then come back. I'll wait. No, in fact, you won't pause the video. I'll just wait in real time. There will be 10 minutes of silence. Sorry, no. Well, I can scare at you. The most uncomfortable video ever. I've done a lot of talking today, so my voice is giving out a little. Alright. And it's only Monday. Anyway. What kind of beliefs could justify the belief Dr. Black knows what she's talking about when it comes to epistemology? Well, how about this? Dr. Black is a philosophy professor. Okay. That's a pretty good one. If being justified on the theory of perspectival justification is having a belief that gives you good reason to hold the belief that you're trying to decide if it's justified, then the belief Dr. Black is a philosophy professor, yeah, that sounds like the kind of thing that might justify Dr. Black knows what she's talking about when it comes to epistemology. Alright, that's a good start. How about Dr. Black has taught this class many times before. Okay. That implies that I have familiarity with this material. Okay, not bad. Not bad. That's pretty decent. We might even go to, like, I think, honest to God, I think that the first one about being a philosophy professor is enough, at least to get us off the ground. It's enough to justify the belief Dr. Black is a philosophy professor is enough to justify Dr. Black knows what she's talking about when it comes to epistemology. I mean, roughly speaking, that's enough. Maybe there are some philosophy professors that don't know epistemology very well. Whatever. We're not going to get into the weeds on that. I think you understand where I'm going with this. But we could even cite other kinds of beliefs that might play a role in justification for this. Like Dr. Black speaks with a great deal of confidence on the subject. That might not be enough by itself to justify the belief that I know I'm talking about when it comes to epistemology, because presumably a skillful bullshitter can speak with confidence about things they know nothing about. But as a part of a larger network of beliefs, like added into the thing about me being a philosophy professor, it might give you more confidence that the belief that Dr. Black knows that she's talking about when it comes to epistemology is true. It might add to your credence that you give to that first belief. And therefore, it might aid, it might make the belief more strongly justified. Okay. So, I think you get the basic idea of what is going on when it comes to internalist, and I'm going to keep calling it perspectival internalism, but you can just think of it as internalist for our purposes. There are other varieties of internalism, but we're not gonna. That's more than we need to be doing in an intro class. Um, so, uh, yeah, from an internalist perspective, I think you get the idea on how this justification thing works. So far, so good. Okay. So, the belief that we are wondering whether it's knowledge, whether it's justified, is justified by another belief, or beliefs, plural. Boom! Easy enough! And it's intuitive, I think. I think very few of us, Morgan's going to laugh at me for a reason that is totally an inside reference between us. Very few of us would consider a belief justified if you then ask the person, oh, why do you think that? And they go, I don't know, I just do. I don't know, just do. That would not get a lot of uptake, I think, most of the time. I think we would probably consider that person's the belief in question that we ask, why do you believe that about? I think we would consider that an unjustified belief if they didn't even know why they believed it, if they did not have internal access to the grounds of belief, to the reasons why they think it is good to give credence to this proposition, I think we would consider that belief unjustified. So internalism appeals to a kind of intuition that we have about how believing in a reasonable fashion works. Okay, so I'm going to pause this for a second, and then I'll click back up. Okay, and we're back. Yay! And we're back. Did you enjoy that commercial break? This word from our sponsors? I know I did. Alright. Um, anyway. Okay, so far so good. So beliefs justified by other beliefs. Fair. That's our first pass version of internalism. And the problem that immediately arises, there's a worry. A worry that this characterization, that if all we say about internalism is that in order to justify a belief, beliefs are justified by other beliefs. If that's all we say, if we leave it there, we are opening ourselves up. This theory is opening itself up for a different kind of skepticism than the kinds that we just put to bed. Um, this is Elias. Okay, he's not feeling it. Okay. We're worried that if that's all we say is that beliefs justified by other beliefs, we're about to run into a skeptical worry. Okay. This worry is called the regress problem. It's also formally known as Pyrrhonian skepticism because it goes back to a Greek guy. This is a kind of skeptical argument that dates all the way back to classical Greece. A Greek guy named Pyrrho. Um, and let me spell that for you because it's incredibly, you'll never guess the spelling just from me saying it. And this is why I hate not having a whiteboard. Pyrrhonian. 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 I can't roll my R's. Pyrrhonian skepticism. It's Greek anyway, so you wouldn't be rolling your R's to begin with, but whatever. Pyrrhonian skepticism. This goes all the way back to classical Greece and this philosopher named Pyrrho. But, so it's Pyrrhonian skepticism or infinite regress, the regress problem, however you want to phrase it. The worry that Pyrrho raises is if you are taking the position that beliefs are justified by other beliefs, you are either going to run into an infinite regress of beliefs, or you're going to run into a belief somewhere that is unjustified, and it will taint the entire chain. So, let's illustrate. Let's start with the unjustified belief. Belief. Dr. Black knows what she is talking about when it comes to epistemology. Justified by belief. Dr. Black is a philosophy professor. Justified by belief. TCC and Dr. Black assert that Dr. Black is a philosophy professor. So you believe that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to epistemology because I'm a philosophy professor. You believe that I am a philosophy professor because me and TCC told you I'm a philosophy professor. Justified by belief. I trust everything everyone tells me. Oh. What is that belief justified by? I just do. Ah, damn it. We ran into an unjustified belief. There is no foundation upon which these other beliefs are built. We run into an unjustified belief. And the problem is, if that belief is not justified, it's just a belief. It's not. It can't be knowledge. That's for sure. It's not clear whether an unjustified belief can serve as a justifier, right? Let me make the example more clear. If someone said to you, I believe I believe uh, we should raise the tax rate. And you say, oh, why do you believe that? And they said, well, my dog told me, and he always tells the truth. You would call into question, I'm assuming, hopefully, you would call into question whether that crazy belief could justify the other one, could justify the one about taxes. Can a relatively mundane belief be justified by something cuckoo? Probably not. I think that's fair. But the reason is not the inherent cuckoo-ness. The reason is because that belief in itself is unjustifiable. It cannot be justified. There are no good reasons to think that your dog is an expert on tax policy. Steve. Stop talking about your dog, Steve. Leave Mr. Barks a lot out of this debate. Um, Leave Charles Barkley out of this. I will not be allowed to name the dog when we get a sex argument decided upon. I'm not allowed to name. Morgan says I'm not allowed to name anything. Anything. Not even Scuffies. We have a large collection of skunk animals. I'm not allowed to name them. Okay, I've been given three of them. I've given names to, but I know if I abuse the privilege, I will no longer be allowed to name things. Yeah, fair. Anyway, okay, so the reason that the belief my dog is an expert in tax policy and he told me cannot justify the belief I think we should raise the tax rate is because that underlying belief about the dog is unjustifiable. There are no good reasons to believe that. Remember, on internalism, a belief is justified if you have other beliefs that give you a good reason to believe the first one. Okay, cool. But that belief cannot give you a good reason, and there are no, and that is explained in part by the fact that there are no good reasons to believe that. So, frustratingly, one of the two bad circumstances that Protean skepticism predicted has come to pass, which is that I will run into a belief that can't be justified, an unjustified belief. Somewhere, and maybe it's very far back in the chain. Maybe it's very far back. Like you might ask me, well, I'll get to that in a second. But maybe it's very far back in the chain. Maybe it's very close in the chain. But they say if you run into an unjustified, there's only two ways this can go. Either you will eventually run into an unjustified belief, which screws up the whole thing, or it's an infinite regress. There's just an infinite. You have to have an infinite number of beliefs to believe anything. That you can't just say, oh, I believe that Dr. Black knows what she's talking about when it comes to epistemology because Dr. Black is a philosophy professor. You can't do that because then the question becomes, okay, well, what justifies that? Okay, well, what justifies that? Well, what justifies that? And if you insist that there are no unjustified beliefs in the chain, then every belief has another belief behind it that is justifying it, and there's an infinite number of beliefs that we have to account for. So, this is a skeptical argument because if we think that beliefs need justifying beliefs to back them up, to underwrite them, to underlie them, if we think that beliefs need underlying beliefs to justify them, then it looks like we can't have any justified beliefs. Because either we would need an infinite number of beliefs, all of which are justifying the next one along, and I can't have an infinite number of beliefs. I'm a finite being, and also I have other things to do with my life. Or some belief somewhere is unjustified, which invalidates our whole theory of justification. And again, or at the very least, it invalidates the chain of justification. So it's a skeptical argument because it says either there are unjustified beliefs back there in the chain which disrupts the validity of the whole chain of reasoning, or you have to have an infinite number of beliefs, which you can't. So either way, you don't get knowledge, because you don't get justification. So that's why Pyrrhonian skepticism is a variety of skepticism. We just got done with skepticism. We just got done with Cartesian skepticism. The worry that everything outside of us is unreal. We just got done with that. And now we have a new kind of skepticism. Son of a crap. Very bad. Is this the end for internalism? Find out next time. No, we're going to do it in this video. Okay. So far, internalism is looking like it's in trouble with Pyrrhonian skepticism. How do we get out of this? Well, boom. There is a way out, and it kind of goes back to the G.E. Moore reading that was talked about briefly in the last video, and which you should have already read. It's not long. Read it, damn it. Anyway, okay. Imagine, I wish I had my whiteboard, I could draw this. Imagine, Imagine that you see a tree. You're outside, you look, you see a tree. You have the experience in your head. Because we talked about this, the difference between the thing and the sensory experience of it, the thing in itself. We talked about that, the Humean thing. Another reading and video to go check out. You see a tree, and you form a belief, there is a tree. That's the proposition, there is a tree. And so that can be a belief. There is a tree. I think that the proposition, there is a tree, is true. Therefore, I believe there is a tree. Now, what is justifying the belief there is a tree? Well, it seems like what's justifying it is my sensory experience. And it's not the sensory experience is not, it's not being justified by something else. I just have the sensory experience. Okay, I just have it. Um, I just have the sensory experience. It's just there. Oh God, sorry. I should have paused that. Okay, my bad. So I have a sensory experience that seems to be justifying a belief, but a sensory experience is not a belief. What am I supposed to do with that? A sensory experience is not a proposition. It's a feeling. It's just a thing that's happening to you. It's something I'm undergoing. It's part of the mental landscape that my beliefs exist within. It's the backdrop of my cognition, not my cognition itself. I have thoughts about my sensory experiences. My sensory experiences are not themselves thoughts. Okay. Huh? It's deep, man. It's real deep. Yeah, so, okay. Um, if this is an accurate picture, and if we're willing to run with this, if this is an accurate picture of what's going on, then what we have discovered is that there are some kinds of beliefs, special kinds of beliefs, that do not need a belief to justify them. And those beliefs are beliefs about the content of my sensory experiences. If I have a sensory experience of a tree, I can then justifiably form a belief there is a tree. Is the sensory experience a belief? No, it is not. It is a sensory experience. A belief must be a proposition. The image, the appearance of a tree is not a proposition. Just like the feeling of warmth on your skin is not a proposition. The feeling of grogginess as you wake up from sleep is not a proposition. None of these things are propositions. But we are justifying informing beliefs about the content of these experiences. To bring it back, or at least, well, okay, I'm saying that very didactically. We are justifying pounding like this. That's what's being claimed here. This is part of our next step in developing the internalist account. What is being claimed here is that I am justified in forming beliefs about the content of my sensory experiences because the sensory experiences themselves provide prima facie evidence for that belief. I mentioned prima facie in the previous video. I think some people have asked me in my in-person class. Prima facie just means at first glance, without any deeper investigation. So at first glance, on the face of it, literally what it means, on the face of it, my sensory experiences provide me with enough reason, that is to say, sufficient justification, to form beliefs about that directly report the content of those experiences. The feeling of the feelings that I have when it is 95 degrees outside are enough basis for me to justifiably form the belief, I am hot. Um, there you go. Or, it is hot out here. Either way. Fine. Okay, how does this tie back into Moore? Remember that G.E. Moore, his argument against skepticism was just about prima facie evidence for beliefs. He said, here is a hand. Here is another hand. These are his beliefs. Why does he believe them? Because look at my damn hands. Look at my damn hands, woman. Talk to the hand. The last guy's at the hand. In other words, his basic sensory experience that he has hands, which it consists of his visual experience of his own hands, his proprioceptive experience that these are his hands, etc. His sensory experiences provide prima facie evidence for the belief, I have hands. Or the two beliefs, here is a hand, here is another hand. Kaboosh. Okay, what have we gotten now? Well, we now have an internalist account which says that I have to have all of the stuff in my head, all of the elements in my head must be available to me. The grounds for thinking I should believe this are all available up here. I have internal access to all of the elements that justify my belief for whatever belief. But this version does not suffer. It is not vulnerable to Peronean skepticism because it classifies certain beliefs as, let's call it, basic. And I don't mean basic. I mean, literally, they form a basis. They are the base level beliefs. They do not need other beliefs to justify them because they are the base level beliefs that rest upon the foundation of sensory experience. Beliefs about sensory experience are justified automatically because they are just purporting the contents of my sensory experience. Does that make sense? Feeling hot is enough to justify the belief I am hot. Feeling hungry is enough to justify the belief I am hungry. It's that easy. So we avoid Peronean skepticism because we've halted the infinite regress, and we've halted it not with an unjustified belief. We've halted the infinite regress with a belief that does not require another belief to justify it, but is still justified. Because it is of a special nature. It is a basic belief. It has a special character of its own. It's justified because all it does is report the content of sensory experiences, and ta-da! No more Freudian skepticism. Woo-woo! Cool. So, it looks like we may have rescued... internalism with that. Questions? Morgan says there are no questions, so I'm going to move on. Yeah, externalism is definitely going to get its own video. Okay. This is already at 45 minutes, so I'm not going to... Alright. So let's talk a little bit about mediate and immediate justification and what we might call defeaters for beliefs. Um, you're familiar with the word immediate. It just means right now. That's the way we use it in common conversation, immediate. Um, the reason it's immediate, though, is it just means there's no delay. There's nothing that happens between now and the thing that is immediately happening. Think about the word mediate. When you mediate a dispute, what are you doing? In the most literal terms, you are between two parties. If this person is angry at this person and you mediate their dispute, you are between them. I mean, that's how we usually use the phrase. You mediate between these people. To mediate is to be between something. Uh, uh, for something to be mediate is for something to, depending on the exact usage, to be between something or to have something else that is between it and the other thing. So I'm going to, and to be immediate is to have nothing in between because it's immediate. It's not mediate, it's immediate. Um, so these are the technical applications of the technical uses of those terms, and I'm going to use them to talk about how the structure of belief justification on the internalist picture, as a sort of way of wrapping this up. We can describe the way that basic beliefs are justified as immediate justification, which is to say, there's nothing else that enters in between having the sensory experience and forming the belief and being justified in forming the belief about the sensory experience. I see a tree. Okay. I have a sensory experience of a tree. My immediate belief formed on the basis of the sensory experience is I see a tree. Okay. Now, to be immediately justified is to be justified with other intervening beliefs in between. So, let's take it up a notch. Let's kick it up a notch. Isn't that what the guy, the crazy hair guy, the cook guy? Let's kick it up a notch. Kick it up a level. Flavor Town. Anyway, that's all I know. Um, he's the guy with the hair and the sunglasses and the shirts with the flames on them. You know who I'm talking about. Guy Fiero! Yeah, Guy Fiero. Let's kick it up a notch. Well, I love you. And yes, I'm insane. Anyway. Guy Fiero. Is he a thing anymore? I don't know. Send me emails telling me if he's a thing. No, I'm kidding. Don't send me emails about that. Put it on the discussion board. That's why we have it. Now, okay. Okay. Um, so let's take this up a notch. Sensory experience. A tree experience. Immediate belief. Immediately justified belief. I see a tree. Immediately justified belief. There is a tree. Yeah. Why is that immediately justified? Well, its ultimate justification is down here at the sensory experience. Everything goes back to that. It all traces back. So, you might say, why isn't that immediately justified? Because the step, like, there's nothing between. There's nothing between there is a tree and I see a tree. So why isn't it immediately justified by this? Um, and it is immediately justified by I see a tree. There is a tree, immediately justified by there is a tree. Immediately justified by the sensory experience. Get it? Get it? Immediate and immediate justification. The sensory experience provides immediate justification for higher level ones above the basic beliefs. The basic beliefs are immediately justified. The sensory experience provides immediate justification to things that are higher up the chain from the basic experiences. Okay. There's another way core belief can be immediately justified, though. Let's think about, well, I lied a little bit just for didactic purposes, for pedagogy purposes. I said that there is a tree is immediately justified by I see a tree. That's not strictly true. There's nothing in between those two, at least on the simple analysis. But if we're being honest, there are other beliefs that come into play there. I see a tree. I have a tree experience. I form the belief I see a tree, a basic belief, requiring nothing other than the tree experience to form the belief, because all it does is report on the content of the experience. Right? Got it? Cool. That's the only thing basic beliefs can do. The only kinds of basic beliefs are the ones that report the content of your non-belief experiences. So I have a tree experience, immediately justified basic belief, I see a tree, and then the belief, there is a tree. Now that's distinct from I see a tree because there are circumstances where I could be fooled or mistaken, right? We talked about these. Maybe there isn't really a tree. Just because I see a tree doesn't mean there's really a tree. Maybe it's a cardboard cutout and I'm just not close enough to tell. Maybe I'm hallucinating because I've been up for 3 days straight, binge watching Supernatural. And I'm hallucinating now. Maybe it is, maybe I'm wrong and it's just a very large bush. I don't know. So, alright. Tree experience. I see a tree. There is a tree. Is not immediately justified by I see a tree, because I see a tree is not just what you need. It's not the only factor in justifying there is a tree. There are other beliefs in play, like I know a tree when I see one. My vision is properly functioning. My senses are reporting on an external world that really exists. All kinds of other beliefs. All kinds of other beliefs that that are in play, but that help that play a role in justifying the belief there is a tree. So there is a tree is immediately justified. There are many beliefs involved that stand in between. There's no immediate justification of it. Okay. Questions on that? No questions. Okay. So, where does this leave us? Now, I told you the whole immediate thing for a reason. It's not going to come up right now. We're gonna hold on to that, and we're gonna keep it in our pocket, and then we're gonna go work with that. Okay. It'll come up later. Okay. So what we're left with then, on our account of internalism, what we're left with is, in order for a belief to be justified, I have to have access to, internal access to, the grounds for justification, and I have to understand why they justify the belief. I have to have some understanding of how these all fit together and why it is justificatory. Um, okay. Uh, and if I have all that, then I'm justified in my belief. Okay. There are some potential objections to raise here. And that's going to lead us to externalism, which will be the next video. Because externalism is really a response to criticisms of internalism. The best way to think about externalism is best characterized by the things about internalism it rejects. It is best characterized by the things about internalism that it rejects. And I'm going to give you a tease on what one of the things that the externalists are going to think is problematic about internalism. And then we'll get into how that plays out in the next video. So it'll be like a cliffhanger. According to the externalist, one of the problems that we can raise with this picture of justification is that how to put this? Well, what if I have a belief like imagine I'm a doctor and I'm faced with a sick patient, and my belief about what we should do to cure the patient is making this patient drink mercury will cure them. Oh my God! That would seem very hard to justify. That does not feel like it's something that could be justified. But imagine I'm a medieval doctor. I'm not a modern doctor, I'm a medieval doctor. We're back in medieval times. They did not have giant turkey legs. Turkeys are indigenous to North America. That's just the Renaissance burial. No, it's not. That stuff is not historically accurate. I hate to break it to you. Um, just lies and damn lies. Yeah. Or as Mark Twain put it, There are lies, there are damned lies, and there are statistics.
I actually read that that wasn't a Mark Twain quote. He
Is
was quoting someone else.
Was Mark Twain quoting someone else?
I read that today. I don't know if it's true.
You read that today?
Yes.
Oh my god! Sorry, we're having a whole thing over here. I'm gonna pause this. I'll be right back while we talk. We're back! Apparently, lies, damned lies, and statistics. Mark Twain said it and attributed it to British Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli, but there's no evidence Disraeli ever said it. So maybe Mark Twain was being funny. Who knows? What was I talking about?
No idea.
Shit. Oh, right. I remember. Medieval doctor.
Right, the mercury thing.
A medieval doctor. I have the belief pouring mercury down this guy's throat is going to cure him. And the thing is, I do have supporting beliefs that justify it. At least proximately. Right? I have beliefs that are I have beliefs that are close in proximity, if you will. Like they may be far removed from sensory experience, but I have beliefs that are nearby, so to speak. Um, that give me. They might not give a modern person or a modern doctor, but they give me, medieval doctor person, a reason to believe that I should pour mercury down this guy's throat to cure him. Medieval doctors weren't just making this up as they went along. That mercury thing is a diagnosis born out of years and years of studying medical science as it was understood in the European Middle Ages. It was a complicated science to them. Medical doctors were highly educated individuals during the High Middle Ages. Their medical theories were based on Aristotelian science, the theory of the humors, astrological factors were involved. There was a lot going on. This was not an ask poll. This would not be, I think I should pour mercury down this guy's throat to cure him. It would not, oh, why do you believe that? That would not be the case. You could say, if he said, I think we should pour mercury down his throat to cure him, and you said, oh, why do you believe that? He could spend hours lecturing you on the theories of the humors, the properties of the various metals and other things that are used, like what properties of mercury, its astrological attunements, and how it reflects the Aristotle's elemental theory, and how that ties into the humors of the body and the imbalances of the humors that cause disease. Like, there's a whole thing. There's a theory behind this. So, the belief I should pour mercury down this guy's throat to cure him, and it will cure him. That belief has beliefs that give me, as the epistemic agent, I do have beliefs that give me reason to think that that one is true. I have at this point fulfilled all the requirements of internalism to be justified in the patently insane belief, patently crazy from our point of view in the modern era. I have all the elements I need to be justified in the patently loony belief I should pour mercury down this guy's throat and he will be cured. That is not a problem. Now we know that pouring mercury down this guy's throat will cure him. Let's say that's the belief. Pouring mercury down this guy's throat will cure him. We know that that does not count as knowledge. We know it because we know it's not true. Pouring mercury down his throat will kill him. So we know that that's not true. So it doesn't count as knowledge. But on an internalist perspective, it is justified. It's absolutely justified. And the doctor would not be doing anything wrong to act upon the belief that pouring mercury down this guy's throat will cure him. The doctor would not be doing anything wrong to act upon that belief. And furthermore, to get a little deeper in the weeds, this is even more troubling. If the doctor has a justified belief that pouring mercury down this guy's throat will cure him, he has, at least without some further evidence being presented, he has no reason to question or investigate that belief. Without some other intervening factor, just taking that as it is. So not only does he believe that pouring mercury down this guy's throat will cure him, he has, as an epistemic agent, no motivation, no rational motivation to hesitate, to question, to further interrogate, to subject the belief to more research. None of that. He's justified. He has his justifiers. They give him good reason to hold this belief. And for some people, that feels wrong. It feels like there ought to be some basis for saying he should have known better. He could have known better. And even if you don't want to say that, even if you don't want to say that, it does put us in a weird position where unless we have gotten evidence, unless we have new evidence that casts doubt on a previously held belief, unless we're in that situation, if we're in that situation, it's perfectly rational to investigate the new evidence. But investigating and testing our established beliefs, as long as they are justified according to what we have access to, investigating and testing our established beliefs starts to look like an irrational activity. And I don't know if that's what we want to... I don't know if that's where we want to be. What motivation do I have for self-criticism at that point? For second-order doubt? For wondering, but is that really correct? That... It brings into a lot of... It brings into a lot of... It puts us in a weird position. If I'm justified... by these... I have these other beliefs, these auxiliary beliefs. They justify the primary belief. And that's it, right? I'm rational, damn it. I'm a perfectly rational person who is about to kill someone by pouring mercury down their throat. Something about that sits wrong with some people. And what they want to push towards is the idea that a belief that is incorrect can only appear to be justified, but never really be justified. Which means that if we had a fully clear picture of the facts, the belief would not be justified. Does that make sense? Okay. Morgan says yes, so you're bound to that. That was the deal. You knew that when you signed up for the class. I mean, probably not, but okay. So that's going to be our motivation to push towards externalism, which is the evil twin. No, I'm kidding. Which is the other big type of theory of justification. We talk about internalist theory right now, and now we're going to talk. And sorry, in the next video, we're going to talk about externalist ideas of justification. And then after those two are done, we're going to talk about specific theories under each umbrella. Specific internalist theories, specific externalist theories. Okay? He's good. He's good. He's good. He's good. It's alright. It's alright. Okay. I know they don't get it. It's an old person reference. We're gonna get you some mashed peas, Nana. When I was young, the internet was robots screaming. Okay. Um, you could smoke on airplanes and in restaurants and literally everywhere. I mean, my dad had an ashtray on his desk. So, smoking at work, baby. Anyway. Okay, so that's the internalism video. If you were still confused, it's a little confusing. I get it. If you're still confused, please post in the discussion board. And I will try to answer your questions as best I can. Other people can chime in if they want with their ideas. I might start. Well, no, that's. I want to keep these videos as non-specific to a certain class as possible, um, so that I can use them in the future and it won't confuse future people. Um, but yeah, so I'll send out an announcement. Anyway, um, yeah, hope that was fun. I know you just love talking about theories of justification. It's what all the kids do. Alright, take care, be well, and I'll catch you on the next video, the externalism video. Bye.